Well, it's time to move it. It's actually not that bad. This is Alder. A customer wanted to match cherry the best she could without the cost of cherry, especially in 12-quarter large slabs like this. So for her needs and to help save cost on her end, we're actually gonna take this 11-foot piece, rip it in half, rotate it, join it, rip the live edges off. And in the end of the video, we'll sit down again like we're doing now, but have a almost finished piece up here. And we'll let you know one way that we create a ton of revenue that we don't see a lot of shops around us or shops in general doing. And we'll give you some tips and tricks or what have you to protect you, but it's a great revenue source. It's a great way to let individuals feel like they built a piece fully for their house. And per se, they can say that. And when people come into your house, if you're a builder, you know this, and you're like, hey, I built this by hand, or I built this, is a huge accomplishment and a feeling of satisfaction. And plus, it makes the furniture piece that much more special when you put your love and effort into something. So stay tuned and watch us bring this thing into an almost finished tabletop.
Well, the first order of business is raising the slab right there off the table. That ensures that we don't just keep cutting into the spoil board of the CNC. And the next step is to find the center of the slab. So if we take Pythagorean's theorem, subtract 2, add 1, we find the center of the slab right about there. After we mark said part of the slab, we get the straight edge here. We just mark that just so we can follow with our skill saw all the way through and get this bad boy rough cut right in half to make it 2 manageable pieces. So we like to do this in 2 passes, just in case there's any tension, and then just to be able to use our other tools. So that's the second pass all the way through, and you will note that this little 7-inch blade here is not enough to cut through a 3-inch thick slab. So you see us crank up the Japanese pull saw, and we just give her all she's got, a little 2-stroker here, and pretty soon you have 11-foot slab brought down to 2 over 5-foot slabs. So you saw us grab the 118-inch track. Obviously it's a bit long for what we need, but our short tracks are just a bit too short, and if I don't have to join 2 of them together, I most certainly won't. So here we're just marking out, making sure we can get 16 inches all the way across, line up on each end, and then we start the good old live edge slaughter. So again, since I came out of flat edge, we run 2 passes. 1, to get easier on the tools, and then 2, we don't want this to pinch too bad, so adding that little leaf cut on this will make things a lot nicer in the end. And now we're just doing some rough marks just to make sure that we're at 16 inches for the jointer, and then we'll rip off this edge too. So, one bad thing about having a small shop, everything has to be on wheels. And this is typically the orientation that anything under 8 feet or about 8 feet will sit. So we make sure that we have enough in-feed and out-feed room. And now we start face joining. Now, key with face joining, you want the cup side up so you can touch just the edges. And it's important to note that you don't have to get the entire thing flat. As long as the edges can reference for the planer, you're A-OK. So as we're sitting here, I felt like I was getting a little bit too much friction, So we just use some paste wax and do the old Mr. Miyagi wipe on, wipe off method, just to ensure that everything from here on out is nice and smooth. Face joining 16 inches can add a lot of friction. So now we do it one more time again, and it is much nicer the second time. Still got to put some oomph into it, but no way around that when you're jointing that wide. Not sure why I went to the back of the planer for this, but we're adjusting the fence to edge joint one edge. We always make sure that we are 90 degrees, and as you can tell, there is no light coming through that square. Beautiful. And here we are marking the edge with the lumber frame, just because we don't know how tapered it is, since we cut it with the track saw and it was already on a rough edge. So this ensures that we get all the way down before moving on. Since we did everything right, we just gotta confirm and boom. Now we're gonna do the other side. Get a nice edge on that guy. Off this convertible and turn it into a planer. As you can see, just two little wing nuts there, or little handles. The tops flip up, the dust chute flips right on over, and you've got yourself a 16-inch planer. And now we put on the automatic feed, and we crank and crank and crank until this Model T starts up, and we get about where we need to be for the first go. We send our first one through and we adjust as need be. The worst thing to happen is if you set too low, you're taking too huge of a pass. We learned that in the past, so we do our best not to let that happen again. And from the back angle, you can kind of see exactly how this is set up. We feed in, it comes out the back here, we catch it, and then we put it on top of the table saw and slide it forward. This just ensures that you're not carrying it all the way around, since a lumber cart cannot fit through this tiny space. It also is pretty helpful for doing multiple items as long as you keep them in order. So you can stack all the ones that need to go and then slide to the front and repeat that process. Now we're going to save you all the time it takes to get this bad boy all the way down, but you'll see here soon just some beautiful flat lumber on the other side. You can see here we're doing some rough domino lines. I like to stay in a little bit from each edge just to ensure that we can square it up in the end. And I'll also leave the marks for the customer, so if they need to make any adjustments, they know where a domino is. Obviously, it would be different if I was fully finishing a piece, but this one we are not. And that's a little trick of the trade I'll talk about at the end of the video. And as you see now, we're coming back from those rough sawn lines, elongating them and get some more dead-on accurate lines for the domino to register off of. Well, it's about time we pop out one of the most controversial tools that I know exist. Here we have the Domino XL 700, which we'll be doing 12 millimeter dominoes that are 140 mil long. And right now we are just hooking her up to the old dust boom arm, which works out great. We already set about middle of our depth and where we want to be. And now we're just going to accurately just plunge this bad boy right on the wood not going too slow, not going too fast. You're going to see here, we're going to change techniques on the best way to hold it because it's just awkward sometimes. And there's one position that is patent pending, and it's coming up right now. It is the old hip thrust technique. This is a bourbon moth exclusive. As you can tell, I'm still a novice at it. But we're going to get there, and we're going to get that technique down. Done with one slab. Now to do the other side. We're going to do it this time in opposite order, closest to the camera and farthest away, just because where that domino is sitting right there. And one thing to note that I didn't mention is my first pin right here, you see me plunging, that is on the tight fitting setting, and all the other ones are on the loose fitting setting. What this help does is when you do your glue up, you're not struggling to get everything together because it's so tight. And then you're also in the same vein, not trying to put everything together where everything's so loose. You worry about shifting. That one tight domino will hold everything from moving back and forth. And then all the loose dominoes will just ensure that it's a bit easier to get everything together during the glue up. So here's another controversial thing that we kind of do. We fill one side the domino holes and we plug it with the dominoes. And then the other side, we'll do the same thing, except we won't fill the domino holes. We'll put glue in them and we'll load up that one face with glue. As you can tell, the slab we just put down has no glue on the face. However, we put enough glue on this face that we have never had an issue, no problems, and we don't use as much glue, believe it or not. Some people will say you have to put glue on both faces. We've never had an issue, and this is how we run it. It's actually a lot cleaner, and you get some squeeze out, of course, but not just gooping globs of glue squeeze out, which just makes cleaning up a nightmare. And we're bringing the two slabs together. As you notice, the one end that is loose setting goes together a lot easier. And we're struggling a little bit with the tight end. Now, could you imagine if they were all tight? So everything goes together nice and easy. We get the parallel clamps tightened up, and then we'll back them off as we get the pipe clamps on and retighten them. Now, note when we add the pipe clamps, notice they do not touch the top of the slab. We do not want any staining from the black pipe. And thank goodness that my phone quit recording, and just like that, everything is on and tightened, ready to go. Now we're just squaring up the ends and cutting them right to where the customer wants them to be.
And there you have it. We have a ready-to-sand tabletop. Now, at the beginning, we wanted to share with you one way we generate revenue, and that is getting any project to a point that a customer feels comfortable taking over. Not everybody has the tools that we have, but most people can obtain a sander and feel comfortable sanding. And so we do a lot of these, or full builds, bases and all, and the customer wants to save cost and sand themselves. Now, we do tell the customer that we can only guarantee the work that we do. I've had customers try to be tables back, that they created a huge divot in, or they only sanded with 2 grits and put a stain on it and it did not come out very well, and try to say, hey, you need to fix this, and we let them know, no, that was your work, we can't guarantee your work. But we do offer them a way out. We do offer our shop services at a discounted rate within reason based on what they bring back. We've had customers just go, hey, it's too much for me. I don't have enough time. I don't really know what I'm doing. It's not coming out right. Can you fix it? And since we already did this half of the work, we are more than happy to do the other half of the work at a slightly discounted rate. And when I say within reason, if it's stained or it's really bad or they do something significant to it and it involves a lot more work, we will charge our normal shop rate. But that is covering you, giving the customer a way out and obviously generating revenue for your business. And something like this, the customer sands it down, they get their hands in it, and they really feel like they made the piece. And that right there is worth its weight in gold for most customers, even myself. That's why I'm a builder, that's why I'm a creator, and that's why I got into doing what I'm doing with lumber. I love to build, I love to make beautiful things and heirloom quality furniture. And so if I can help somebody do that and put that in their own home at a reasonable cost, we're more than happy to do it. So we want to say thank you for watching, and hopefully we have quite a few more videos coming.